Hi guys, welcome back or welcome to my channel. And if you're not new, you would know that this is an unusual setting. So we are at the boot camp, which happens at the end of the year for first years at IIM Jammu. And I forgot to bring my tripod, so I've tried to make a unusual sort of setup, but hopefully my phone doesn't fall. And so somebody requested for me to share how I prepared for JIPMAT, and I thought since the exam is just 10 days away, I would create like a how I prepared for JIPMAT and some last minute tips. And also I have added one story in the beginning just to crush in the mindset that I really had during the time of preparation for both IPMAT and JIPMAT, to help you understand that what actually matters while preparing and giving the exam. Feel free to skip it, but it would be nice if you really want to get some motivation and get some mindset tips as well. So let's get in with the story. There are basically two young, cool teenagers. One is called Akash, another is called Meera. Now, Meera loves a Chanel bag, and Akash loves his Air Force Jordans. So I think I pronounced the name of the dunk wrong, but whatever. He likes his Air Jordans, and God decided that he would give both of them a Chanel bag and Nike pair. But he said there is a banyan tree barricade in front of them. I just added that to make it look more Indian because, of course. Now Meera and Akash have a problem. The banyan barricade is full of riddles and mixes and pieces of the roots coming down and being twisted and puzzled together. And Meera is always so excited and enthusiastic, and she's always so hardworking. So she thinks that the best way to get through this is to just push through as hard as they can. It pushes her whole weight into the banyan branches and roots which are twisted together multiple times. And eventually, because of her bad diet and bad strategy, she falls down, losing her breath. And then Akash comes to rescue. Now, Akash says to Meera, calm down a bit and think about the holes that actually create a pathway. If we navigate through them correctly and choose the right holes in them, we could actually make a path that is much easier and much time saving to follow. They do exactly the same. Now, Akash goes in first and he connects and plans which of the loopholes he has to target and how to connect them to get through the barricade. As soon as they get through the first portion, they realize there are some more twisted puzzles and riddles to get through the final prize. Now, these are things which require a very curious and strong mind, and Akash couldn't do it, but Meera has such creative and hardworking tactics that she solves it in 1 second. So together, with their together effort, they finally get through the stage and they get their Nike pair and Chanel bag. And the moral of the story is that you can be really hardworking, you can really be very, very serious to put all of your force that you have into the preparation and into clearing the exam. But if you don't have a combination and balance between the right strategy of targeting the loopholes you have, of focusing on what are the things you're lacking at, and then also working hard with it, you will not be able to clear it, and you will not be able to form a good group of Akash and Meera, right? So the mindset you need to follow is, especially in the last 10 days, I have to work on retention and time efficiency. My goal is to clear the exam, not work hard to prove to myself that I worked so hard and I should clear it, right? Rather, think about the problem, that this is a problem, and what is the most efficient way for me to crack it. And the most efficient way comes from understanding your weaknesses, and therefore everybody will tell you that okay, do mocks, analyze your mocks. But why it is important is because when you do a mock and when you analyze a mock, you realize that there were certain topics which you thought were so easy, and you underestimated them, and now you're not able to solve their question, or maybe those questions you were able to solve in the beginning of the year or whenever you prepared for them, and now suddenly you thought, oh, it was all prepared, but now it's all vanished. So for that, it's very important in the last days to give continuous mocks, analyze them, and then work on the topics that you think you have forgotten or could take more work. Now, general descriptions about the JIPMAT exam. It's divided into 34 questions, total 100 questions, with the verbal section having 34 questions, and the other two having 33 questions. There is a +4 -1 marking scheme, and I do not like to think or talk about cutoffs, because cutoffs can really vary in these exams, especially because these are the beginning years of the preparation. There's a very compounding effect happening. Each year a lot of new students come in, and everybody has cracked the strategy, and people are developing more stronger strategies with their coaching and everything. So you never know what the cutoff is going to be, and you never know what level of preparation this year the students are going to come with. So your focus should not be on what was the cutoff previous year, but to focus on maximizing your answering, because that's the whole game of JIPMAT. It does not have very difficult questions, but the most important key thing which I really recognize about JIPMAT was that it really focuses on basics. It really tests how clear you're about the concept on the roots. So it's a 2.5 hour exam. There is plenty of time to do all the questions, and there is no sectional time limit. So it's pretty fairly easy to do, and even to go back to sections if you've left questions from them the first time you were doing it. Time is plenty. Just focus on maximizing your attempts and maximizing your correctness and accuracy with it, right? Now let's go to how I prepared for IPMAT and JIPMAT. I did not really think about segregating or preparing for them differently when I was starting the preparation. My whole focus was that I have to prepare everything, and when I'm preparing anything, the retention is really important. So if, for example, if I'm preparing a topic, I would feel so great that, oh, I'm done with 10 topics, but it does not matter if I forget all of them right after a week or two. So I used to create little different strategies and follow different strategies so that the retention exists. Let's start with the verbal section. Vocabulary is one of the most irritating things, because no matter how many words you actually learn, unless you have a very British circle of friends who talk in English all the time, you won't be able to retain them. So I used to use this app called Anki, which is a flashcard app, and what I used to do was, whenever I had free time, it would take longer than normally just writing the words down, but it would just be one-time investment of typing the words in front of the flashcard and then typing the meaning of it in back of the flashcard. But then I could repeatedly revise them wherever I am. So for example, if I'm traveling in a bus to home, I would just go through the flashcards again and again and again. And Anki is such a useful app that, based on the ranking or you give, that how well you know the word, it will divide different time systems based on the forgetting curve, that you need to practice the word again and again for best retention, right? So that is what I followed throughout the year. Whenever I thought that I was even free for like half an hour or 1 hour, I'd just pull up my app and practice, just look at the vocabulary flashcards, because I thought that was the best way to do it. Secondly, what I used to do was, for reading comprehensions, a lot of people give you advices that you should read books or you should read articles or editorials, but it is a lot to do, especially for someone who's not a big reader, right? Which is unlike me. I was always a great reader, and I used to love reading books, but then also it got really boring for me to go through very boring articles again and again, and I used to feel so zoned out while reading a particular passage which was not of a topic that I was very familiar with. So what I used to do was, I used to take one or two editorial from the newspaper, and I used to put a target that I have to summarize each paragraph of the editorial in 1 or 2 lines, and then summarize the whole editorial in 2 to 3 lines. So because I'm entering the whole process of reading with the mindset that I have to summarize it, I'm going to be more conscious about what I'm reading. And also I will get into the whole process of prioritizing that what was the important information, and if I really have to summarize and crux it into 1 or 2 line, what are the important things that could be targeted, right? So this really helped me build speed and build like reading it with ultimate consciousness and awareness, and not wasting time, and not having to go through the passage again and again. And the more you do it, the more easier it becomes for you to actually get into the process of reading faster and more efficiently. Other than that, my best advice, especially if you're preparing for grammar or words in the last days, is to just go on YouTube and watch videos which make you practice alongside with them. So for example, I used to watch this channel called, I think, English with Rani ma'am or something, and she has amazing videos where she practices words, and in like similar videos you will see repetitive words again and again, and at the end of the day you like remember them. So you can practice grammar from there, you can practice vocabulary from there, especially if it's just last 10 days and you think you haven't prepared enough in that area. Moving to LR and even Quant. So for LR, practice is the most important thing. The concepts aren't a lot and they aren't very difficult to get. So just ensure that at least once or twice you have gone through the basic concepts of how a topic works, and then you just practice. So you practice. What I used to do was I used to do a lot of mini practice tests alongside with the mocks. Like if I'm free for 10-15 minutes, I'll just put up a test and do it. Other than that, for quants, basics, as I said before, basics is the most important thing. I remember during the paper I had a question of this trigonometric identity or some formula, I don't exactly remember, which was written somewhere in the module, and it was such a huge formula that I don't think nobody even paid attention to it, and it was not something that was mostly observed in JIPMAT papers. But because I was that nerdy child who scoured through the whole book, I had written it in my notes and I remembered it, and I realized that because I got so deep into the basics, I knew the formula and it took me 1 minute to solve the question. But if somebody hadn't learned that formula, that question would have been so confusing because it would look relatable, but then you might have skipped the formula because it wasn't a very known formula, right? So even if you knew the basic, you could have somewhere deduced it. So the most important thing is that really get into the basics and really get into the depths of the subject, especially for JIPMAT. Then with quants, the best way is to just practice and practice. Give tests, give mocks, and analyze where you're bad at. The topics and the questions aren't very difficult, they just test how your conceptual knowledge is. Moving on to last minute tips. If you're preparing, just strategize based on the mindset I told you in the beginning of the video. That is, you have to work on your weaknesses and do not compare yourself with anybody else, because you know how you can manage with the platter that is given to you, right? So do not get influenced by whatever anybody is saying on the internet. I am ironically doing the same thing. But if somebody tries to give you one particular strategy, or one of your friends is really smart and scores really high in the mocks, and you think that's what you should follow, I don't think that's the best idea. Rather, just give mocks, analyze them, and then really work on the topics. Go back on the topics which you feel like, this I did the question wrong for. Don't just read through the solutions of the question that you did wrong. Actually go back to the topics and go back to the basics of the topic that you did wrong and revise the whole thing. Because if you did one conceptual error, in that section of quants or whatever, it is important that you also look at if you've forgotten something else, right? So it's the best way to go through the topics, and rather than just going through the same topics again and again, you actually target the ones that you're weak at. Other than that, last minute tips would be that don't stress and do not try to learn new topics. Everybody gives this advice, but why do we give this advice is retention, as I said, is the most important thing while preparing for these exams, right? If you don't retain, you'll make like a scrambled egg in your head, and then you will also get confused with what you already know, because you got so nervous with thinking that I know this partially and I know this a little bit and I don't know that, right? So it's better to work on what you've already done. It's better to retain more rather than doing new things. Give more and more mocks, and do not listen to others, do not compare yourself to others, and focus on your own loopholes. Look at the paper as a problem to crack. Do not make assumptions in your mind that I am not enough, or I might not be able to crack the paper because somebody is more smarter than me or whatever. Just think it's a problem and you've got to solve the problem, and for you to find the best way to solve the problem, you have to look at your own weaknesses and your own strengths, and then make a strategies and connect those loopholes in such a way that you get through it, right? So I hope this video helped you. If you want to ask anything else related to this, you can comment down below, or you can find me on Instagram. The credentials will be put down below, and thank you so much for watching. And we have a vlog series coming from tomorrow about the boot camp we're doing in Patni Top, and we're gonna go trekking in the mountains, and we're gonna have seminars, and we're gonna have so many other things. So stay tuned, and bye bye. Thank you for watching. Love you.